Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at the Eachine E10WD, and I had the E10W and this one, as it says here, HD camera. They've actually improved the camera quite a little bit in this little guy. And to give you some perspective of how little this is, there's my hand and a little sneak preview of what's to come to the channel. This is the Walkera Rodeo 110. And this thing is pretty tiny compared to that little tiny brushless. But this one does a Wi-Fi FPV, as you can see there from the antenna. We also have a removable pod, and I think that's a bonus. Myself, I would prefer that we have more standardized batteries so that we can buy a lot of just the batteries and plug them in. But this is an improvement. You can get more batteries and charge those. What else comes in the kit? We get a screw, because the remote does come with a screw in the back. I've already removed it. And we get an extra set of props. And we get the typical USB charger. And the last thing in the box is, of course, the instructions. The Wi-Fi app for this one does come through the Google Play Store and also the iOS Store. And if you have a third-party phone, I think they also have one other scan code here in the instructions that you can use to get that. You can also search for Eachine Wi-Fi UFO, and it will turn up the application. And this one works pretty well. I've been flying it around. A couple things to note is that my camera is misaligned, and we'll talk about that in the flight footage a little bit as well. And you can see here that they use the PCB that holds the electronics as part of the structure. And we have a prop guard that is all one piece, and it just kind of slides on. It doesn't really clip into place. So if you crash on a firm surface, you'll probably find that this comes off a little like that, and then you have to realign things and push it back on. Not a big deal, but I think if they just designed it a little bit to have some clips rather than just pressure fitting, that would be another bonus. Typically with something this small, after I flew it, I'd try to FPV it, but I think adding 3 grams to 4 grams on this is going to mean we have a flight time that's pretty short. I'm finding the flight times are pretty short as it is, and you get about 3 minutes to 3.5 minutes depending upon how you're flying it. But let's go ahead and take a look at how it responds. I don't really walk through the application. I don't suggest flying it using the cell phone application. There's a little bit of delay. It's a neat thing. You can try it out. But you'll find that you'll have better control if you use the radio, and you'll be able to learn more of how to fly these things using the radio than the cell phone. The cell phone also uses the accelerometers inside the phone, so you can just tilt the phone and fly it that way as well. That's a neat feature, but we really won't cover it here, and that's mainly because the flight times are pretty short on this. So let's go take a look. Okay, I've got everything set up. You can see it's looking at our dead and empty fish tank, one of the many things I don't get around to. And this is kind of the interface here. The picture is nice and crisp, so this has a pretty good camera. The field of view might be kind of narrow, but pretty happy with it. I'm going to go ahead and move it towards the edge here, and we'll take a picture. We get that little noise there. And let's take one more. Now you can fly this if you hit this button with these. There's a little bit of a delay, so it's not immediately responsive, but it's not terrible. But it's kind of just a fun little feature. If you want to learn to fly a quad, you're probably going to need to use the controller. If you want to just get a feel for it, see if this hobby is for you, this is our takeoff and this is our auto landing. You can do those features with the controller as well. We won't really go through those features because you'll be experimenting. You can split screen if you wanted to, but I'm going to turn that off so we can see, and I'm going to start a video recording here. We can see, hopefully you can see that those numbers are running. So we have, and the key to getting this to work the way I have it set up is to bind the radio first, then go into your phone, connect to the Eachine UFO Wi-Fi, and then launch this app. So we take off by pressing this thumbstick down, and it will spin up the motors, and then we give it some throttle and it'll get in the air, and you can see that spring loaded. So we've got a machine with some altitude hold features. To get different rates is this button over here, and to roll is this button over here. And then we've got our trims just to trim the flight of the quad out. So let's take it off a little bit. So we've got the motor spinning up. Let me start my timer here, and we'll give it some throttle. Got a little drift forward. Now I'm drifting back. Too many. Got some nice bright lights. They got the red in the back. Thank you very much. And I've flown this a fair bit already. And it's kind of a nice little flyer. I'm fairly impressed with the picture quality too. I mentioned that once already, and I think it's something that we're starting to see with this level of quad, is that they are improving the cameras. They have been saying for the longest time they're 720p, and maybe they are now. So there's a little shot of what it's looking at over there. Let's go ahead and check the rates. So even in this rate, which I think it starts at the medium rate, it's pretty good. And I'll include some samples of the video. But let's click the left-hand button down, and we get our auto landing. Bing, bang, bong. There we go. Now let's click at this button, or this stick down again. Start the motors. Whoa. Oh. Now she's flashing. She doesn't like that. If you come down hard, these prop guards will kind of pop off their little stands. They're not clipped in or anything. Okay. So we're on a flat surface again. We can go ahead and so I'm going to hit the top left button on the remote. So we got 2 beeps. So we were in the lowest rates. Well, we got a little far away there. Let's check our yaw. The altitude hold tends to creep up when you're flying it around, so you kind of have to bring it down every once in a while. You can see right now it's rising up. Now it's settling down a bit. So it's doing a fair job for something this size. I'm going to try to keep it in close. I know it's hard to see this little guy. Click this to get another rate. So we got 3 beeps. This is our highest rate. And we're already getting LVC. Let's see if it'll do a flip. Now let's yaw it real quick. Whoa! Did you see that? Let me do that again. Oh, it's going to land. I'll just go ahead and help it. Whoa, where's it going? There it goes down. Alright, I'm going to charge the battery and we'll come back to this again. Okay, we're fully charged. We're back at it again. Go ahead and start a recording here. And I noticed that we have this whiteness, and that's actually from the shroud of the top part of the camera. I did try to shove the lens of the camera down to get rid of that, but it seems like the camera in my unit is mismounted slightly. So that's a bit of a disappointment, but I don't expect all of them will be that way, but hopefully yours is not. So let's go ahead and take off. So we're pressing again here. Motors are spinning. Now this drift I've noticed, is kind of part of the initial takeoff. I think that altitude hold is adjusting a little bit. But let's go ahead and look at our rates. So this is our lowest rate. And then we click the top left button. We get 2 beeps. See how it's now steady? Well, a little bit better, I guess. But anyways, so this is much more aggressive on pitch and roll. Let's see how the yaw does. A little bit better. And then we click again. We get 3 beeps. Now it's nice and steady. Look at that. No, it's drifting a little bit, but not bad. Kind of calms down. So now we're in the highest rates. So let's... Pretty agile with pitch and roll. Let's check the yaw. Whoa, the yaw gets out of hand. So that's not good. Not terrible, it's just going to be kind of twitchy on the highest rates. So you're going to have to do some yaw management if you're flying this in the highest rates, which for pitch and roll would be pretty fun. Let's bring it up to about camera view here. Oh, it's sagging down a little bit. So you can see the image and the quad. Oh, it's going down a little bit. So once that probably air pressure needle or something that's doing the altitude hold calms down a bit, it seems to do pretty well. I'm going to take it into the medium rates. Wow. Those flights are getting shorter every time I charge this thing. This time on the recording I had 2 minutes and about 40 seconds before it just kind of landed itself. So the flight times on this are going to be pretty short. Let's fetch it. But oddly enough, we don't have LVC lights. Let's try to take off again. So press this. Wonder if that was a range issue possibly. Let's take it over there by the TV and see what happens. Well, I still have control. Way over there, it's not that far, but flying this FPV, let me give you some idea here. Let me bring it down a bit of the delay. So keeps going up as I get closer, probably the air resistance. Let's do it with yaw so you can see the both in the picture. Let's just fly it a touch. Now we got LVC. It's a slow blink on the LVC. See how long it does this. Kind of just bobbing around there on the ground. So that land was pretty slow, gentle, I suppose. But that is the Eachine E10WD, kind of a little starter quad. See if you're interested or not. Maybe a office or room flyer with pretty good camera, really. These cameras have gotten a lot better. I've mentioned that a time or two. I've been impressed with the last few. Okay, Eachine E10WD. If you have any comments or questions, please leave those in the section down below. And thanks for watching.